All right, then they're using npm init, all right, to create a package.json file for your application. For more information on how package.json works, see specifics of npm package.json handling. Now I'm going to explain what happens here. All right. I'm going to explain what npm is. npm full form is Node Package Manager. All right. So as the name suggests, this tool is created to manage the packages of Node. All right. Um, Although that's the reason it was created for, even on the front end, now the packages are, a lot of times managed by using npm. All right. Now, when we say manage packages, what exactly do we mean by manage packages? What is to be managed, right? So let's see. Let's do npm init, npm init. All right. So I'm gonna be in this folder, right? npm init. Init basically means initialize. All right. It's short form for initialize. So when I do npm init, right? It's Let's read what it says. It says this utility will walk you through creating a package.json file. It only covers the most common items and tries to guess sensible defaults, right? See npm help init for definitive documentation on these fields and exactly what to do. Use npm install package afterwards to install a package and save it as a dependency in package.json file, right? So first thing it's asking us is to give a package name, right? And by default, it's first app. We are just going to leave it that way, right? Let's see what this documentation says. It says this command prompts you for a number of things, such as the name and version of your application. For now, you can simply hit return to accept the defaults for most of them, with the following exception. Now, when we reach entry point, now we are gonna enter app.js, uh, to be the main file. Let's see. Package name first app, enter. All right. Version 1.0.0, that's the default in the brackets. That's what we are gonna accept. So simply enter. Right. Description, you can write here, this is my first app or anything that you like. Enter. Entry point, in this case, we are going to write app.js. All right. This is the main file that's going to start. This is going to be the starting file, right? I'm going to press enter. Test command, we don't want anything, enter. Git repository, nothing for now, enter. Keywords, nothing for now, enter. Author, you can put in your name if you want, enter. License, enter. And then it's going to show you, hey, this is what I'm going to create. All right, name this, version this, whatever we have mentioned. Is this okay? We are going to say yes, enter, right? And now if you go inside your folder, you're going to see that there's a file called package.json, right? Which has, those key value pairs that we discussed. And this is JSON, right? This is JavaScript object notation. This is a JSON file, right? I'm going to give you guys 5-10 minutes here to do the exact same thing. All right. Anyone has any questions or any doubts so far?
Uh, yes.
Mhm.
What about entry point? What you did with entry point? Did you change anything?
So on entry point, what you're going to do is you are going to put in app.js, app.js,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And I'm going to explain what it does and why we did that.
And then after that, all just enter it. Didn't enter anything, right?
Right. This is the only important thing, entry point, which you need to change to app.js. Everything else is not as important. You could just simply do enter, enter, enter.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to open this up for you guys. So if you're done, you can read more.
Sorry, after you put the npm in it in terminal, what did we do?
So when you do npm init, it's going to generate the package.json file, right? It's going to start asking you these questions. It's going to start asking you on command line, hey, what do you want the package name to be? What do you want the version number to be? And all of this stuff.
Okay. How can I change entry point?
So when you
yeah.
reach the entry point, just type in app.js. Don't press enter right away. When you reach entry point, type in app.js and then press enter.
Yeah, I put another thing and pressed enter. Now I want to change it.
Oh, you want to change? Don't worry. Even if you, let's say, even if you just press enter, enter, enter for everything, it's gonna generate this file. You can just come here and change it. You can just do index.js
in the
or
file. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
in the file. Those questions that are being asked are for nothing but to create this file. So once this file is created, you can change anything you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was something important, right? So if you make a mistake here, don't worry about it. It's, it's just gonna generate this file, and you can change anything in this file later if you want. It's not gonna be a problem. It's the same thing. All right, now if you have a package.json file and if it looks similar, the content of the file looks similar to mine, give me a yes in reactions. All right, if you have a package.json and if it looks similar to my file here, give me a yes. All right, 9 yes, we are still missing a few people. Then, all right, let's wait for a few more. Let's wait for a few more seconds, a few more minutes.
Akash?
Yeah.
Can you please help me? Sorry, I had to restart my Visual Studio VS Code. I had to restart and I missed the beginning. What was the first step?
So, okay. If that happens, that you go sideways during the class, or if you want to refer to the exact same thing later on, I would suggest you keep using this link. All right, because I'm doing nothing but following this and explaining all of this. All right. And the only thing we have done so far from the very beginning is we have created a folder, first app here.
Yes,
right?
yes,
And then we, in the terminal, we changed our folder, that folder. So I'm inside first app. Once you do that, I have done
that was a problem.
npm init.
I couldn't enter the first folder. It restarted my program.
All right, so that's what you need to
error.
do. You need to go to this folder. So you do a change directory, and then you reach the folder of first app.
Okay,
right? You need to make sure when you do a PWD, present working directory,
I type CD day2 and then slash first app.
Yeah, it would also depend where you are at right now when you run these commands.
Okay. Oh, okay, it worked now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I think you can also do a change directory, and then if your folder is here, I think you can just drag and drop it here. Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
right.
Thank you. Yes, it's working.
All right. And then we did an npm init, and then we literally press enter, enter for everything other than the entry point. Our entry point is going to be app.js. Right. Alrighty. Let's move ahead. So, okay, let's look at the contents here. Name. This is the name of our application. This is the name of the project that we would be creating. right? Version, this is basically a version number, right? When you deploy things on the servers, you pretty much bump up the version number whenever you have, a new version of your project, whenever you do some changes, all right? Description is where you can say, hey, this is my first application and I'm learning Express.js or whatever, a few lines about the project, right? Main is basically what's going to be the starting point of your project, what is going to be the most important and main file of your project. All right. Then we have scripts. All right. Scripts are basically commands that you can run. And so far we have test, and in test we don't have anything. It says error, no test specified, right? So we pretty much have nothing in scripts for now. Author is basically who is creating this project. You can, have your own name in here if you want. And then license is what kind of licensing your project supports, all right? But nothing important for now. All right. I'm going to go back here. Next, it says now install Express in my app directory and save it in dependencies list. For example, npm install express -- save. All right. So far we have only created a project, but we haven't installed Express.js so far, right? So to install Express.js, we are going to run this command. All right. We are going to do npm. I'm going to make it a little bigger for you guys. Right. We're going to do npm install express -- save. All right. -- save. All right. And let's see what happens when we run this command. All right. Right now it's installing Express.js on my system. All right. Now it's installed. Now you're going to see that it automatically creates a new section here in your package.json in which, oh, you know what? I made a mistake. It was supposed to be -- save. I put a space in there. Never mind. I'm just going to remove this. This is what it should look like. All right. Now you're going to see that this section gets created automatically. All right. Dependencies. And it's saying that express.js is a dependency now, and it would install our version 14.17.1. All right. And you're also going to see that there would be a new file created automatically, package-lock.json. All right. And you're going to have an entire folder of node_modules, which is basically where the installation of express.js is going to be. Right. So what you need to do is run npm install express -- save. All right. There's no space in here, so be careful about that. Once you do that, you should be able to see a few changes. The first change should be this section in package.json. All right. Now in package.json, you should be able to see dependencies, and you should be able to see the name of the package express in dependencies. Second change you should be able to see is a new file, package-lock.json. And third change would be a new folder, node modules with a lot of content in it. Right. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes here to do it. Whenever you are done, please don't forget to give me a yes. I'm going to be back in a minute. If you are done with it, please don't set free. I would suggest you guys to Google more about package-lock.json. I would suggest you to read more about npm. I'm definitely giving you information about NPM, but I mean, there's obviously way more to learn. So, utilize this time to learn more about what we are already using. All right. So I would suggest you guys to read more about NPM and important commands of NPM. Right, anyone facing any issue? Anyone facing any problem?
Just a question.
Mhm.
Where you have where it shows added 63 packages from 48 contributors,
Mhm.
I have 50 packages from 37 contributors.
Oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. That must have happened because you remember I put a space here by mistake.
Okay.
So it actually installed two packages, Express, and there must be another package by the name of Save. So yeah, I simply removed it from here, but it's perfectly fine, not a problem at all.
Sorry, is it okay to have no description?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine to have no description.
Okay, perfect.
All right. If you are done with, if you are with me at until this point, please give me a yes. Senior, Manny, Maxime, Pernas, Solo, is there any problem that you guys are facing? I want to make sure everyone's with me until this point because everyone's gonna everything else in the rest of the class is gonna be based on this. Right? Just want to make sure everyone's with me. Okay. So I'm gonna clear this feedback. Okay, so what have we done so far? So far, we have created a new Node.js project, all right? And we have installed one dependency, all right? We have installed one package, all right? Which is Express.js. Express.js is a Node.js framework, right? It's a framework used to create backend APIs, all right? I'm gonna repeat all of that again. So far, we have created a new Node.js project, and we have installed one library slash framework slash dependency Express.js, right? Express.js is a backend framework for Node.js, which is used to create backend APIs, right? So far, that's what we have done, all right? Okay, we are gonna go back. They are saying if you don't want to install it, you can do a -no-save, but we are not going to use this. We are going to install it and we are going to save the dependency, right? All right, I'm going to go to the next page here, right? Now, let's say, you know, what they want us to do. Embedded below is essentially the simplest Express app you can create. It is a single file app, not what you would get if you use the Express generator, which creates the scaffolding for a full app with numerous JavaScript files, J templates, and subdirectories for various purposes. Now, this is simply an Express application. This is one of the simplest apps that you can create, right? Now, there is something known as Express Generator, which scaffolds way more stuff, which is like, you know, a lot of number of files and all of that, right? But simply so far, what we are going to do is we are going to copy this code, right? And oh, they never asked us to create the file. That's weird. Oh, never mind. So we're gonna come here, right? We're gonna go to the first app, right? And we are gonna create a new file here, right? And we are gonna call it app.js, right? Make sure you create it inside first app folder, right? And in app.js, I'm simply gonna paste the code that I copied from there, right? From here. Simply gonna copy this, right? Once I do that, I'm gonna run this file, right? I'm gonna do node, and then I'm gonna give the name of the file app.js, right? And when I do that, you're gonna see it's gonna say example app listening at HTTP localhost 3000, right? And when I click on this, it should open up something like this. Just give me a second. Here, right? It should open up something like this for you, right? Gonna go back here. Again, I copy pasted code from there. I have copied this entire thing. I'm gonna explain each and everything from in here, right? I'm gonna explain what each line means. But let's first make sure we are able to run a server, right? If you reach this point, if you have a server running, and if you see hello world, give me a yes in reactions, right? Create a file app.js, copy paste the code from in there. You can type it down too if you want. Save it. Once you are done with that, run this command, run the JavaScript file. And if you see, this is how we, this is how we run a JS file with Node anyway, right? This is how we were running files with JS yesterday. Node space name of the file.
I have an error.
What is it?
It's internal, I don't know, internal models slash CGS loader.js 834. I don't know.
Can you copy paste that and send it to me in the chat in a private message maybe?
Okay. I'll send everything. cannot find. Cannot find. Okay.
Um,
Okay. I don't know. Okay. Okay. I know what the issue.
wrong folder.
I didn't. I'm inside day 2. I have to go inside first app, I think, right?
That's right. Yes. Everything that we would be doing, we would be running all the commands from inside the first app folder.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't show anything. I run this file, but it doesn't show anything.
It doesn't show you this example app listening
Yeah,
at.
he showed this line, but nothing else.
Okay, so once you see this line, either click on this, command click on this, or you can go to your browser and actually type in localhost colon 3000.
The localhost. Yeah. Good. Thank you.
No problem. Anyone else facing any issue, any problem?
Yes, I also have a problem. I have
Good.
some error.
Mhm.
Emitted error event on server instance at, and there are lots of lines.
Can you copy paste that and send it to me in a
Yes.
message?
Yes, just a second. Okay, I just sent you.
All right, it says address. If you read the error, it says error. Listen EADDR in use. That means error address in use. Address already in use, colon, 3000. So whenever we run a server on our system, it's run on a port. All right, your computer, your operating system can open a few ports. You need to think of each port as a door. All right. Now we are using port number 3000 here, right? Your system is saying that that port is already being used on your computer. Now, this could mean a few things. You might already have a server running on port 3000, right? So a few options. For now, you can change this 3000 to 4000 if you want, or 3001 if you want, and it's going to start working. Or you can check if you already have a server running on that port on a different command or terminal.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to check now. Thank you.
Sure. And obviously, if you change 3000 to 3001, your server would be running on localhost colon 3001.
Okay, I'm going to change now.
Right. All right, I have 9 yes so far. If you are done with it, if you do see this page on your system, do not forget to give me a yes. If you have any problem that you're facing, please ask me right now. Meanwhile, others are doing this. Does this look familiar to anyone? This part? What kind of guesses can you make from reading this line? Like literally guesses from your experience with .NET and PHP and all of that. What do you think it means?
Request and response.
Get and post methods type of thing.
Yeah. That's right. This is a get method. And what else can you guess from this?
And kind of render this like the response, send the response to the browser.
Right, send the response to the browser. This is exactly. And does this part look familiar to you guys?
It's a different sentence.
Function.
It's a function. It's an anonymous function, right? If you see, these are the parameters, right? This is the fat arrow operator, and this is the block of code for the function. All right. So this is like saying, hey, application, I want to define a GET request, right? And I want to define a slash, which means this is gonna be the route, all right? And then we are these are the two parameters passed by the application to you. And then you're saying, I just want to send this response back, all right? Now, if you want, you can also define, let's say, another route, which could be users, let's say, right? And you could be sending something more complicated than this. Let's say an object. Let's define an object here, right? Let's say const. You know what? I'm going to change this to students, and I'm going to use the same array here. Just going to copy this, go to my file app.js here, define the exact same array students here, right? And in response.send, I'm simply going to pass this array, right? So this is the entire array students. I'm going to minimize this. You already know what's in there. And then I'm going to set a response.send, send this entire array of students, right? Now, when I save this, this is on route students, right? So when I go back here, localhost 3000 / students, right? Oh, cannot get students. Let's see. / students, no error here. It's a GET request.
You don't need to define this route anywhere else.
Nope. This is where it defines pretty much everything. I understand that in some applications, you must be creating controllers and routes separately, but here you are defining that you want a want to define a GET request, and that's for this students. Oh, you know what? I didn't reload the server. I actually need to shut it down, start it again. And now I should be able to fetch students. There you go. All right. Now this API is providing me the data of all the students.
How did you reload it?
So you simply need to close the server by pressing Control-C. All right. So when you do a Control-C, it's going to shut down the server, right? Now, if I go back, nothing's going to run for me because the server, I have killed the server, I've shut it down. And then I just start the application again. All right, I'm going to give you guys some time to do this. All right, but let's first of all see what exactly do we have in the entire file. What does it contain? Right. So the first line is const express equals require express. Right. This is how you load a file in JavaScript. Right. This is how you say, I want to load the library express. Right. Once you load it, we are going to have it in express here, this variable. Now, to create a new application from Express, you simply have to call it like a function, right? So when you call this function Express, it's going to give you a new instance. It's going to give you a new instance of an Express application, and you are going to store that in a variable app, all right? Here, port is nothing but a variable which contains the port number, all right? You could run the server on port 3000, 4000, or whatever port number you want, right? So we define all of this. And then here on line number 35, if you pay attention, there's this is our instance of the application app, right? Dot listen basically says, hey, I want this application to be listening on this port number. All right. And this here is nothing but a function, right? You could write the entire same thing here like this. You could actually say function here, right? You could do something like this function, and it's going to be the same thing. Same as above. All right, this is nothing but a function. We are just printing example app listening at localhost 3000. You see this line that gets printed every time we run the file, right? This is where it comes from. Example app listening at localhost 3000. Right? And in between, we are defining our routes, right? In between, we are defining that, hey, if someone calls on /students, send this data. If someone, is on the main page, send this data, and so on. Right? I'm going to give you guys some time here. I'm going to give you guys 10-15 minutes here to digest whatever we have here. All right, play around, maybe create one or two different routes. Do not forget to restart your server whenever you create a new route. Right? Give me your questions if you have any. Any questions, any doubt?
Can you explain first line one more time?
Sure. So on line number 1, we are doing const express equals require express, right? This is how you load libraries in JavaScript, right? I'm pretty sure you do that in Java too, right? Whenever you need a library to be used, you import it at the top of the file, right? How do you do that? What exactly is the statement for that in Java?
Import.
Import, right? So this is a JavaScript version of that, right? This is me saying, hey, I want to use the Express library. I require it, and then I save it in a variable.
And
right?
each library we save in a different variable.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
So if I have another library, I would do something like this. Const, let's say other library equals require, and I would give the name of that library here, other lib, something like this.
And we will use these variables later or no?
Yes, we would.
Okay.
And if you see, we are actually using it on the very next line. This is the variable express, right? And this is where we are using it.
Like a method. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Because when you require express, the library itself gives you a method, this here, which you just need to call to get a new instance.
Okay, got it.
And when you do that, it gives you a new instance of the application. It basically creates a server for you. All right. So app is basically our main application. This is basically the soul of application. And then you define how you want to run your application. And then you say app, this thing here, right? Dot listen And then you say, okay, I want to run this application on port number 3000, right? That's the variable here, right? And you could give it anything. You could say, hey, I don't want to use a variable here. I just want to give 3000 here. You can do that, right? You can say, I want to run my app. I want my application to listen on port number 3000, right? And then here you are defining a function where it's like, hey, whenever my application starts listening on port number 3000, we are just printing something so that we as a user know that our server has already started working, right? And you could say anything here. It says example app listening at this, right? You could say, hooray, who's the boss now, right? You could do whatever you want. And now when I run this server, it's gonna give me an error. Port is not defined, right? Because I was playing around here. So this should work. So it's gonna print, hooray, who's the boss now? Example app listening at localhost 3000, right? This, you can do anything in this function, you know, that you want, but so far we just want to print that, you know, our server is working. And in between everything is, you know, how you define routes, whatever code you want to add. But in terms of running a new server, it's literally these 3 lines here and these 3 lines here. In 6 lines, you have a new server of Express running. All right, you have a backend, you have an API server running for you with just these, you know, 3 + 3, 6 lines of code.
Excuse me, instead of 3000, what else we can put?
You could put pretty much anything. We could put 4000.
Any number?
So this is where we would have to discuss more about ports. Ports are usually 4 digits. It could be, you know, 3 letters too. For instance, I won't go into that. That's going to get things a little complicated. But yes, to give you a simple answer, it could be any 4 digits, right? Sometimes a port could already be in use. It could happen that you could use port number, I don't know, you could use port number 8000, but it's possible that something running on your operating system is already using it, right? So if that happens, you have 2 options. Either you can kill that service that you're using, all right, or if you want to use that service, you can simply change the number here to something more like 4000, 7000. It could be, you know, 7070, anything, right? But whatever the port number is, your server would be running on that port number. So if I change it to 7070, right? I'm going to shut down this server, right? Now, when I run this server, right, it's going to say example app listening at localhost 7070, right? And now my application would not be running on 3000. It would be running on 7070. Right?
Thank you.
No problem. Consider this basically an address in your operating system, right? And there are many addresses available, and every application uses one address. Even the applications that you are running on your operating system, they are using a port number. It's just that you don't know about that. All right. If you, I don't know, if you're using Zoom, right, that might be using a port number. All right. So in that case, you don't know about those port numbers. You don't have to worry about those port numbers because those applications take care of those ports themselves. In this case, you are the developer of the application, right? So you are defining where you want to run the application. Any other questions, guys? Any other doubts? Again, this is the beginning of our course, right? So the more understanding you have right now, the easier things are going to become for you, you know, in upcoming days.
So I have extra question about port in this case.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, for example, if I'm develop an application, so
Mhm.
what if the user, let's say, for example, I put 300 and the user has a service on 300 also. So
Yeah.
in this case, it should be there is other options, right? All the
Yeah.
time for the ports.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
But this is will not be here. I think we will use just one single ports for now, right?
So in real life applications, if you are running an application on someone's computer where you are not sure if some port is going to be available or not, there are some ways to make sure that you would find something that's available, right? For instance, I could start a server on a random port number and I could check if the application started working or not. And if there's an error, I could, try another port number on user's computer and so on. So
Okay.
there are ways to make sure that you find a port that's free or available for you, right?
Okay. Thank you.
And in our case, we would not face these kind of problems because we are specifically creating a backend server for APIs, right? So this is not a kind of application that you would run on different computers, right? It's not that 100 users are going to install this application. If everything goes well, you make it a big project, you're going to install it on a server, right? Not on individual computers. So on those computers, you are on those servers, you are going to have access to everything like you do on your computer yourself, right? So again, the discussion specific to this project, ports are not going to be as big of a problem for us. But if we discuss it generally, what happens with the applications if they are not able to find a free port, there are mechanisms where they try a port number, and if it's not available, they try some other port number until they find something available. All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Someone said, can you please explain this line, const app equals express brackets? Yes, I can. So this line, second line, right? Someone said, can I please explain this again? Sure, I can. So this, it's important that we understand the first line for the second line, right? This part, selected part here is saying, I want to use the library express, all right? And then I store that library express in this variable here, all right, express. Obviously, you can call it anything you want. You can call it, my express, right? Now, in my express, what you actually get is a function, right? And you basically call that constructor function by, putting brackets around it. Now, when you call this function, it returns you something, all right? Now, when I hover on this, if you see when you call this function, colon express, right? It returns you a new instance of express application. And when it returns that, we save it in a new variable app here, right? So this is, with these two lines, we are creating a new application. We are getting the express instance. We receive a function that we call, then we call that constructor function, and we create our application. Now, if you are thinking, oh, how would I know that this variable is a function and I need to call it here? Now, these kind of things are usually mentioned or explained in the library itself. All right. This is not something you are supposed to know. This is not something that you have to figure out. If you go to the Express library, these kind of things are explained to you, right? The library is going to tell you that, hey, when you require me, I'm going to return you a function. And then you need to call that constructor function, and then I'm going to return you the app, right? All of this is defined in the library. And these are the steps for Express. For some other library, it could be different, right? So it's library dependent. You don't really need to know it or remember this, right? Your library is going to help you out to figure this out. Right, any other questions, guys? Again, I do not mind repeating myself 10 times. All right, I literally do not mind if it helps you guys. Any other question or any other doubt? Anything I can help you guys with? Okay. Give me a yes if you think this is too much to digest in a short amount of time. Give me a yes if you think, hey, this is too much to digest. This is heavy stuff. Give me a no if you think, hey, this is easy. We understand everything so far, right? Give me a no if you say this is easy. We understand whatever you are doing. This is not rocket science. Okay, so okay, 9 people think this is easy. They understand whatever is happening so far. 10 people say, okay, so that's good. Right, awesome. You guys can now have your much, deserving break for 15 minutes. It's 10:26 right now. Let's get back at 10 what? 10. Let's get back at 10:42 a.m. You know what? Let's make it 10:45 a.m. All right. I'm gonna stay here for a few more minutes if anyone wants to ask any question or if you have any doubt. All right. I'm here for next few minutes, but if you do not have any question, feel free to, go have your break. Right. So Twig, right? That's one option. And there's handlebars, there's Jade, there are just many, templating engines when it comes to creating views on these kind of platforms, right? But that's not always the case, right? This is server-side rendering, right? This is server-side rendering. What happens in this case is that you create your HTML pages on the backend, right? Your PHP, Express, or ASP, these are responsible to create an HTML page on the backend, and then they basically send that HTML page to the browser. And every time you make a request, it's going to send another request to the backend, get a new view, and then send it to the front end, right? That's server-side rendering because you are creating your HTML page on the server side, right? Second thing is client-side rendering, right? Client-side rendering. This is basically when you are using applications like Angular or React and so on for the front end, right? So you would use these applications on the front end. These would be responsible to create your entire UI on the front end. And then what you do is your APIs or backend are segregated. And let's say your Express or PHP application would only be responsible for backend stuff, APIs. That's it, communicating with the server. All right. So in this case, you have a separate front end, right, and a separate backend. Now, would I be right if I say that so far, whatever full stack applications you have created, those applications were created this way, where you were always creating Vue with your backend servers, with your PHP or ASP, or would I be wrong?
Yes.
We did both.
You guys did both?
No,
Yes.
they were all back end.
No, we did both in PHP, but in client side we create pure CSS, HTML, JavaScript. We didn't use Angular or React.
Yeah, this could be pure HTML and CSS too. All right, this does not necessarily has to be Angular or React. This could be pure HTML and CSS too. All right, this just basically means that your backend would only be responsible for creating APIs, and your front end would be totally different application. It's gonna be totally segregated. Okay, and you guys did that in PHP, I guess. Is that right? Did I get that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, this is the model we are going to follow, right? Because this is a course for web services. I'm not going to go into creating templates with the backend server, right? In this scenario, in our course, we are going to keep our front end, right, and our backend entirely segregated, right? This is going to be a different application, and this is going to be a different application, right? And these days, this is how mostly you would see things working in industry, right? And the reason is, companies like to keep their front end and back end segregated these days, right? And it becomes especially important if you have, let's say, this is a web application, and then you could have a mobile application too, right? Now, in this case, I mean, in other case, it's still possible, but in this case, it's, relatively easier to have your front-end web application different, segregated, mobile application segregated, and both of these communicate with your same backend, right, with the same APIs, right? So we would primarily be focusing with Express, all right, only on creating APIs, right? We would not create any views. We would not create any front end with Express, although it's possible to do. We would not do it, right? We would use Express only for APIs, and for front end, we would use, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. All right. Everyone understands the word vanilla with technology? Do you guys know what vanilla JavaScript is?
No.
It's JavaScript.
Plain.
Just JavaScript, right?
Plain JavaScript, right?
Plain JavaScript.
Exactly. So whenever in technology someone uses the word vanilla, that basically means no framework, right? No framework, simple plain JavaScript, right? So if you're using Angular or React, you're not using vanilla JavaScript. If you are simply writing your code in HTML, CSS, and JS, in that case, you are using vanilla JavaScript, right? Question, right now, are we using vanilla Node.js? Are we using vanilla Node.js? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Yes.
Because we are using a framework, which is Express.js, right? So that means our Node.js is not vanilla anymore. We are using a framework. Is there a Butterscotch.js? Is there a Butterscotch.js like vanilla.js?
What's butterscotch?
No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing such as Butterscotch.js. Right? That's not a term. Yeah, all right. So JavaScript doesn't come in all the flavors. It's only vanilla is basically a term used with, it could be used with any technology too, right? It could be vanilla Java, which means, not using any framework. I told you guys, programmers love food, right? So, here we are, another example of that. Okay, any questions or any doubts, guys? All right, we had someone who is already working in a company, right? Are you a full stack developer, or are you, did you say you are a front end developer? I forgot. Who's that guy who's
Full
still
stack.
full stack. All right, and do you guys keep? You said on front end you guys use Vue. Is that right?
Yes.
All right, so that means you guys keep your front end and back end separate entirely. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. They're only connected through the connection. There's nothing connecting them in either, other than that.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's exactly what we would be following here. All right. And I would say that's more common these days. All right. Creating views in backend frameworks these days is not as popular. Right. So yeah, but again, I could be biased because this is how I have been doing things. This is how I have been seeing things. So yeah, HTML, CSS, and JS, we would be doing some basic front end in that. Are you guys all comfortable with that? Some very basic HTML, CSS, and JS?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yes, I think.
alrighty. And I guess you guys have already done Android too. Is that right? Or not yet?
No,
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
last course.
Okay, because in that case, you know, you understand that once you create APIs with Express or PHP or anything, you can basically use those APIs with both web front ends and even mobile applications, right? Usually companies do not create separate APIs unless it's really needed, right? It's usually one backend which serves all the front ends. All right, any questions or any doubts here, guys? Anything I can help you guys with?
So just a question. It's valuable to learn one framework for GS, I think, because in real life, rarely somebody will use just vanilla GS, right?
Yeah, that's right. I would agree with that. Yeah, vanilla JS is not really a thing anymore, unless you are creating a very small application or, you know, maybe you're creating a library. You know, if you're creating libraries, obviously you would stick to vanilla JS in that case, because you don't want your libraries to be huge, right? But otherwise, if I talk about startups or if I talk about companies in general, it's unlikely that you would see vanilla JS. There might be some legacy systems, but if someone's creating a new front end, it's usually, you know, Vue, Angular, React, and so on. Right. And if you are planning to jump on front end, I would say just learn one front end framework really well. Anyone, right? It could be anyone. Ideally,
I think if
yeah.
we need to learn Angular, we need jQuery. And if we React, I don't think even if we don't know jQuery, right?
Even for Angular, you don't need to know jQuery. jQuery is still very popular, but honestly, as a library and not as a framework. jQuery really helps when, again, you are creating custom code and all of that stuff. But otherwise, you know, jQuery is getting relatively less popular to create full-fledged application, right? Don't get me wrong, still very popular, still very famous, but mostly for libraries and low-level JavaScript stuff, right? Complicated stuff where you are writing a lot of custom code. But if you are creating front end, you would mostly see Vue, React, Angular, and there's this another platform that's getting famous now. I guess it's Svelte.js or something like this. Yeah, it's SVELTE. Right, that's another front-end framework getting popular these days. All right, I'm gonna just put those names here, right, for you guys. Angular, React, Vue. I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's Svelte or something. I would say React is the most popular right now. Angular is considered to be very scalable for huge projects. and Vue is considered to be quick to learn, very lightweight, and very easy to use. I've only heard good things about Vue. Svelte, I don't know anyone who's working on this, so I don't really have any opinion from a friend or anything. Right. Alrighty. Let's get back here. Participants. I'm gonna close this. Close naming conventions. All right, so let's see this. In Express Application Generator, they're basically talking even about Vue, and Bug is basically a template engine in Express, the way you have Twig in PHP. All right, but again, we would not be doing any views in Express, so I'm going to skip this part entirely. All right, and debug my app. We don't even need to set this. We can do npm start and all of that. All right, so now we are going to try, Express generator. All right, we are going to generate an application with Express. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this folder. All right, and I'm going to create a new folder in day 2, and I'm going to call this, let's say, app Express Gen. All right, this is going to be the name of my application. This would give you an idea that in this project we were trying application app Express generator, right? So I'm just going to create this empty folder for now, right? I'm going to close all the files here, right? So we would be creating a new project now. Do make sure you shut down your servers, right? Otherwise, that port is going to be occupied. And when you use the same port next time, it's going to give you an error. So make sure you shut down your servers. All right. Now, we are going to use Express generator, right? And the first thing we are going to do is we are going to start a new project, right? Express my app, Express. Right, I think just give me a second here. We do not want Vue. Express my app, all good. Okay, I would not like to install it globally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all start a new project here, right? Now, to start a new project, first of all, I'm going to go to the folder app Express generator xgen, right? So I'm going to change directory and I'm going to go to app xgen, right? Once I am in the folder, I'm going to start a new project. I'm going to do npm init init, right? I'm going to initialize a new project. I'm going to start a new project, right? Again, I'm not going to change much. Enter, 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 right? Enter. So far, I'm not even going to change the entry point. I'll change it later on in the file. So that's it. It's going to create a package.json for me. All right. And once I have it, I'm going to install Express generator first. All right. I'm going to install Express generator first because by default, I think I'm not going to have access to express-h. Yep. So we are going to install this, right? And we are going to install it in the same way. npm install Express generator, right? Now you could do a -- save if you want, but by default, it saves automatically, right? So I'm just going to run this npm install Express generator. right? It's installing, and now you can see I have Express Generator here, right? I have package log file, and I have my node modules installed in my folder, right? So I have one package installed so far. So now if I do express-h, it should be nps x express-h, right? It's going to show me all the help related to the command, right? Right. So let's reach this point here with everyone, right? If you're already here, give me a yes, right? But I'm going to be explaining everything from scratch here. So first thing you need to do is you need to create a new project, right? So do npm init initialize, right? npm space init, this command here, right? When you do that, you're going to keep pressing enter, enter, enter. You're going to keep pressing enter, 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 right? And you don't need to change anything. We'll change, we'll change things later on. Right? And it's going to create a package JSON file for you. Right? Once you have that, you need to install Express Generator. npm install express-generator. Right? Once you do npm install Express Generator, you should be able to see a package log file, and you should be able to see node modules here. Right? Once you have that, you should be able to do npx space express space -h. And if you see something like this, give me a yes in reactions.
I'm sorry, when I do the generator, it didn't show me the package log.json.
Did you do npm init before?
Yes,
When you do npm init, it should show you package.json right away.
it shows me just package JSON, not
Right.
package log.json.
Right. That's all good. Once you do that, once you're done with the npm init, then you need to do npm install Express Generator.
I did.
And when you did that, you still don't see package-log.json file.
No.
So in that case, most likely you are running this command in the wrong folder. Are you in the app xpgen folder? Are you in the correct folder?
Yes, I'm inside the app X generator gen, but
Okay.
I don't see. Yeah.
And when you do npm install, it's not showing you package-log file.
No.
All right. Why don't you share your screen, and I think all of us can have a look and try to fix that.
Okay. I forgot how to share my screen. Sorry.
There should be a button with up arrow, which should say share screen.
Oh, share screen.
I think it should be in the middle somewhere.
It's on the bottom right next to chat.
Next to chat. Oh, yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. And can you see my screen?
Yeah, just give me a second here. Thank you. I'll do all of this again on recording, right? Relatively quickly, but I'll do all of this again so that you have it in the video. All right, I ran this command, express -- no view, second app. Have you guys used Postman before? Have you guys ever used Postman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So you actually don't even need to replicate this example, all right? I'm gonna be doing all of this from scratch, right? So, and now that we see it actually creates everything, I'm gonna install Express Generator globally, right? So please follow with me now, right? Run every command with me that I run, right? I'm gonna do npm, right? Npm install -g express-generator, right? This is gonna install Express Generator globally, right? Because this is not on project basis. We're just gonna install, generate our project from Express, and then we don't really need it again, right? So we are gonna install this globally. Okay, permission denied. I'm gonna need sudo. Okay, for Mac, sudo is gonna work. For Windows, try this first and see if you guys get any error. Try it without sudo. For Windows, okay, someone said for Windows, it's okay. All right, just try npm install -g express generator, right? We are gonna install it globally this time. Okay, so someone sent me a warning, npm warning, deprecated, same thing that you guys see here, right? Don't worry about a warning, right? As long as it's not an error, you're fine. When you install Express Generator globally, now you should be able to do express-h without using npx, right? Because now it's installed globally, right? Now, if you are done with this command, installing it globally, and if you are able to see the help on express-h, give me a yes, right? If you're done with this globally.
Sorry, for me not working.
Are you getting any error or something?
Yes, it says that cannot be loaded. The file is not digitally signed. You cannot run this script on the current system.
Okay. Someone sent the same error. Cannot be loaded up. Okay, are you both on Windows?
Yeah, I'm in
Yep.
Windows.
Okay, all right, this one's on Windows too. Right, for more information, see execution policies at this. Da, 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 da. I think it's just that Microsoft doesn't like me. Cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. Anyone else face this problem, has fixed it on Windows? Is there anyone who can help
I
me
have
with
the
this?
same. I have the same problem, but I didn't fix it yet.
Okay, let me quickly Google it. Shouldn't be a big thing. All right, we would have to change the execution policy on the PowerShell. Not with the local remote. Okay. I'm gonna send you guys a command. Right, this is a quick fix. You guys maybe should spend more time on this. Set execution policy. Let's do unrestricted. Scope current user. All right, can you guys please try to execute this command and then try again after that? This is only for Windows user who are getting the error above.
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't work?
Yeah, I tried that before too. Didn't work.
For me, it works.
After running the command?
Yes, it worked for me too.
Okay, set execution policy.
Did you run it on the command prompt or at the terminal?
At the terminal.
In the terminal?
Yeah, you might not even need the scope thing. This must be enough.
No. Okay, 1 second.
Anyone else facing any other problem? If you're done with this, if you're able to do express -H, give me a yes in reactions so that I know you are done. Right, someone said not working for me on Windows. Also try to restart your terminal. Access to registry.
Yeah, I tried that
PowerShell.
too. I tried relaunching the Vision.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, when you do that, run. Okay, open the PowerShell, right click and open the PowerShell as administrator. You should be able to see this option, run as administrator. When you close the PowerShell, close all the terminals, close the PowerShell on your Windows, and when you start it, right click on it and start it as, run as administrator, and then try to do it. Oh, by the way, Express supports Twig too. Just saw that. But I think Bug and Handlebars is the most famous with Express. But that's kind of my opinion. Let me know, guys, if it starts working for you on Windows.
It's good.
Right, awesome. Is there anyone who's facing issue? Any problem? Okay, so let's generate a new project from here, right? Now pay attention, I'm gonna go to the folder day 2, right? I'm gonna go to the folder day 2, and I would be able to use my command express now because I have installed it globally, right? And now I wanna create a new project inside day 2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do express, all right? And I'm gonna call it my app as they're doing it in the guide, right? But in our case, I'm gonna do a dash no dash view. No view, right? So we did this, we did install Express Generator, right? And now we are generating a new application, but we do not want a view with it. So I'm just gonna do dash no view. Here's the command, right? And I'm running it inside day 2, right? Now, when I run this, it's gonna create an entire application folder for me, and it's gonna create package.json2. We do not have to do npm init anymore. It's gonna create everything for me.
Sorry, how can I get the PowerShell as administrator?
You have to right click on it, and then I think you should see the option. Am I right, guys?
No, there is no option for run as administrator in PowerShell.
Can anyone help me here? Anyone? Window user who
Yeah,
was
so
facing the same
go
problem?
go to your command prompt, type in just or do a search on PowerShell, then right click.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Go to command prompt, go to you know where it says type search on the bottom.
type search on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, on your main window. You know, have you launch application or
In the VS Code.
no, not in VS Code. You know how you do
Okay.
CMD, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Same. Yeah.
Yeah, just put PowerShell, it will look for it. And then do a right click, command, run as admin.
And write the no, there is an error here. I don't know. Sorry, can I share my screen?
Yep.
Just give me a second. Let's do this. Let me finish this part, and then I can give a break to everyone else, and then I'll help you out to fix this. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this way everyone else would be able to use that time as a break. And I'll help you fix the problem. Anyway, so coming back here, now our entire application has been generated here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go inside my application folder now. I'm gonna do a change directory. I'm gonna go inside my app, all right? And now if you see, we have a package.json file already, right? And you're gonna see that Express generator already included a few dependencies for me, right? You know how we installed Express before by running npm install? This time Express generator already included these 4 dependencies. Now, if you want to install all of these, you do not have to do npm install cookie parser, npm install debug. You do not have to do all of that. You can simply go inside your application and you can do npm install without anything else, and it's going to install all of these dependencies one by one. All right, it has installed all the packages. All right, now all 4 packages, all these 4 packages are installed in your system. Right now, that's where npm is really helpful. You could have 50 dependencies, and if your fellow developer wants to install the project, the person doesn't need to know or remember these libraries. The person can simply do a npm install, and it's going to install all the dependencies in package.json file. All right. Now we have all of that installed. And now to run the application, there is something new. All right. Now, rather than doing node and then the name of the file, you can do npm start. Right. And it's going to run the application for you. Or at least it should. Let me check. Yeah, it should be on port 3000. There you go. Right? It says Express, welcome to Express. And we are also seeing the logs now, right? That a request was made, whatever was sent back, and all of that stuff. All right, I'm quickly gonna go over it. First of all, we went into the folder day 2, and we said we want to generate a new application. We did express -- no view space my app. This is like saying, hey, I want to generate a new application without any view. And this time we did not have to do npm init. We did not have to do so many different things because the Express generator basically created all the files, all these files for me. Right. And after that, I changed the directory to the actual project, my app. And then I did a npm install to install all the dependencies that were mentioned in package.json file. And then to start the project, I did npm space start. Right. Once you do that, it's going to start your project. And then you can go to localhost 3000 to actually look at, look at the generated server. So if you get, hey, found one low severity vulnerability and all of that, don't worry about any of that, right? So you see it says found 0 vulnerabilities, but if you see a few vulnerabilities, it's all right. Don't worry about it for now. And npm install is npm space install, right? It's not npm dash install. Maybe that's where the problem is.
So we don't need the command npm init anymore.
Not anymore, because the generator basically creates the package.json file for you, and it already inputs a few things for you automatically.
Okay.
Right, someone's facing a problem here. All right,
Can I
so
share my
if,
screen?
yeah, sorry, say that again.
Can I share my screen?
Just give me a second before that.
Okay.
If you are able to see this screen on your system, if you are able to run the server the way I did, if you see this, give me a yes in participants. All right, just 2 people, right? 5, 6, right? 7. All right, someone said I need your help too. All right, so some people are facing problem until this point. So let's do this. I'm gonna spend next 15 to 20 minutes to help these guys, all right? And then we'll have a 30 minutes break. So the break is going to be from 12:15 p.m. to 12:45 p.m., right? Until 12:15, I'm gonna be helping everyone, all the errors that they are facing. Now, if you are someone who see this page who is facing no problem, you can have a longer break. You can get back by 12:45. Does that make sense? This way you do not waste your time. And, I also get to help everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. I'm gonna pause. Thank you. Is there what
It will
else are we
initialize
maintaining?
all these dependencies. I will install all these dependencies. Something
Right,
like that.
exactly. It helps us install all these dependencies, right? So when we did npm, not here, let me go inside my app, right? When I do npm install, right? It installs all the dependencies, right? Sorry, all the projects here, the entire all the libraries mentioned here, it installs all of those for me, right? Do you guys use anything similar in PHP? Was there any package manager? Was there anything where you run one command and it installs all the helping libraries for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What is it? Just for your peers to know, which could help them relate. How did you install all the dependencies by one command in PHP?
We use Composer.
Composer.
Yeah, we got Composer, yeah.
All right. So yeah, npm is basically, let's say an alternative of that. All right. And package.json file is what npm uses to manage all the dependencies. Right. So these softwares are called package managers, right? In general, there are package managers for Java, there are package managers for Node.js, there are package managers for PHP, right? And the package manager for Node is NPM, Node Package Manager, right? And package.json is where, it maintains all the dependencies, where you can define what is needed, all right? Now, see, when I was a student, a lot of times things just did not make sense to me whenever my teacher would tell me, hey, we do this for maintainability. We do this because it makes it easier for us to install dependencies, right? It just never made sense to me because I was always like, all right, there are hardly 3 or 4 dependencies, right? How big of a deal is it to manage these, right? How big of a problem is it? And I already know what kind of packages I'm going to be using in my platform. So it never really made sense to me. And it was only after a few years when I actually started working in industry that you always need to think of the problem at a bigger scale, right? Because when we are students, we are always working on smaller projects. We are always working on projects that, we do in 3-4 days and then we dump it. Maximum 10-day projects, right? So many conventions, many maintainability related things just do not make sense. I mean, it did not make sense to me when I was a student, right? Now, let me show you guys something. I'm going to pause recording and resume recording here, right? Okay, now let's see what we have here. We have app.js, right? And we also have a few more things in package.json, right? We have dependencies here, right? We'll see what each dependency does. We know that Express is basically what creates the application for us. This is the Express.js framework, right? And when we run npm start, it basically runs this script, right? Script start, right? So when we were doing npm start, it basically runs this command. And if you see it's doing nothing, it's actually running node and it's passing this file www in bin, which is here, right? So basically when we do npm start, this file gets executed, right? And if you see here, we are creating a server, right? We are listening to the server and there's some extra stuff happening here, right? We don't need to understand everything right now, but we only need to understand that we are listening here on port number 3000. All right, so this is the file which actually creates the server for you. All right, I'm gonna go back here, basic routing. So if you want to create a route, right, what you can do is you can use your application instance and then you provide your HTTP request method, right? Are you guys all familiar with GET request, POST request, PUT request, DELETE request, HTTP verbs?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone who would say, hey, I'm not sure or I need a refresher kind of a thing? REST conventions? Okay, no one. Right, just give me a second, guys. Right, someone said refresher, please. Sure, I'm gonna quickly go over it. So in REST APIs, all right, there are some HTTP request methods, all right? Let me see if this link is any good. All right, so there are some request methods, all right? The important ones are GET, right? This is if you wanna make a GET request, which means you want to get some data from the backend, all right? Again, these are conventions, right? This is what help developers understand the code and to actually stick to a common convention, all right? So get request is made when you want to get some data from the backend, right? Because sometimes you would be creating data, right? You could say, hey, I want to create a new profile. I want to create a new post, right? That's not a GET request because you are creating something. When you say on Facebook, hey, fetch me all my friends, right? Give me the list of all the friends that I have, friend list, right? That's a GET request. When you say, hey, I want to go to marketplace, please fetch me, all the important listings on the marketplace, right? That's a GET request. Second important verb is post. Post is when you want to create a new resource, right? This is when you say, hey, I want to create a new profile. I want to create a new post. I want to upload a new picture, right? Yeah, it could be anything. I want to create a new listing on Facebook Marketplace, right? In those kind of scenarios, you would always send a post request, right? When you are creating something. Put request. Put request is basically when you want to change something, when you want to edit something, right? So you could have you could already have a profile on Facebook and you say, all right, I want to update my name, right? That's a put request. Or you could say, hey, I want to, I want to update my photo, or I want to update the listing that I created a few days back on the marketplace, right? So get means I want to fetch data. Post means I want to create something new. Put means I want to edit something. I want to change something already existing. And delete, as the name suggests, is used to delete a resource, right? Now, there are some other request methods like head and trace, options, connect, and all of that. You don't need to know that. Have you guys done patch before? Yeah.
It's patch and
Yes.
put together.
Okay. And you guys, did you guys do the difference between put and patch?
Yeah, I think yes. Yeah, he mentioned it. It's put kind of like post. You can actually create a new one if it's not exist, but patch, no. You specify what are you, let's say, editing.
Right. So put and patch are both used to modify a resource. The only difference is put input, you basically give the entire entity that you want to update, and in patch, you can do partial modification. You can say, hey, I only want to update 2 fields, right? But anyway, we'll do more detail once we actually get into more details, and once we're actually writing more APIs. But for now, I think it's just important for you guys to remember, get is to fetch data from the backend API. Post is to create new data in the API. Put is to edit the data, right? And delete is to remove data. And patch is also to change data, right? Put and patch are both used to do modifications in the data. All right. Okay, let's go back here. Now, creating resources is as simple as creating routers is as simple as saying app.get, all right, your method. If you want to create a get request, you're going to do a .get. If you want to create a post request, you are going to do a .post. All right, if it's a put request, .put. If it's a delete request, you're going to do a .delete. All right. So, and then you give the path to which you want to actually want to take care of the request, and that's it. And then inside the function, you can add or remove or do whatever you want to do. All right. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. I'm going to go back to project here, and if I go in routes, right, you're going to see first of all in app.js, we have 2 routes included: index and users router. Index, I'll talk about it later, but let's talk about users first. All right, users router. All right, there is get users listing, router.get / right, and then we have the handler. This is basically the function that is supposed to handle the request. and then you can send any response you want, right, from in here. And in app.js, you are gonna see this is users router, and this is mounted on /users, right? I'm gonna repeat this entire thing again. On line number 18, if you see, we say app.use/users user router. So this is our way of saying, hey, on /users, I want this router to be activated, right? And inside this router, we have created a new router here. This is how you create a new router, express.router, call that function, and it's gonna give you a new instance of router. And from here, you can do a router.get and /, but this is after the users, right? And it's gonna just send this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up Postman. Let me check if I even have it. Oops. Right. So for now, I'm gonna make a request just here. Right. /users. Oh, my server is not running. Let me run my server here, npm start. There you go. Refresh. And when I run on /users, it returns respond with a resource, right? But this is what it's returning, right? If I actually have a database, I would fetch all the users from the database and then send, right? But if I want, for now, I'll just create a user's resource here, right? Let's create an array of users, right? Name, Superman, age, right? And then let's indent it properly. Right, another user. Catwoman. Age 35. Right, let's add another user. Batman. Let's put age 40. Right, and now if we want to send this as a response, we can actually send an object, users, and we are just gonna provide this array in that, right? I would have to restart my server if I'm making any changes. So Control-C to close the server and npm start again to start the server. Now when I go back here, I refresh. This is the response that I get. Right? Okay, why don't you guys replicate this on your system? And don't only do that, I want you to explore what's inside app.js and www file, right? You're not gonna understand everything, but that's fine, right? That's not a problem. But I want you to think of, if I ask you to create another router, all right, do you understand how would you create a router file and how you would, connect it on a specific route, how users router is connected to the path users, right? Let's take 5-10 minutes and do an example of this. Anyone has any questions or any doubts?
Yes, in line 11 in the user.js, why did you use users colon users?
Because I'm sending a JSON here, right? And I just wanted it to be in the key users so that when I receive the response, I see users and then I have an array in that. Right? But let's say it's just personal preference. You don't really have to.
Okay.
Because
Okay,
even if you
I can write anything here.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if you guys know about JSON validators. JSON validator, right? So if I take this entire thing, this would be a valid JSON, right? If I say validate JSON, it says valid JSON, right? If you just, if I remove that and if I just send the array, right? That's perfectly fine as well. It's going to be a valid JSON, right? So you just need to make sure that whatever you are sending is a valid JSON object, right? And it's just that I personally prefer always to have JSON starting with a key value pair because I feel like that's more natural, right? But it is possible to send an array, and that's perfectly fine and perfectly legit and correct. Any other questions, guys? Any doubts? Okay, so someone said how to execute this JSON file. Okay, when you say that, do you mean this JSON that we are receiving here? Okay, so the question is how to execute this. First of all, to use the word execute would be incorrect with the JSON data, right? JSON is a data format, right? And we are getting this response from our API. And the question should be, how would we use this? Now, once you create API, you can use it by making an AJAX call from the front end. All right. So, you know, once we do some basic APIs, we would create a small, easy front end, which would basically use this API and show all of this data on the front end. All right. But so far, we'll stick to API.
And every time we do some changes, we have to stop server and run it again.
Yes, I have gotten that question a few times. The answer is for now, yes, but that's not something that we would do for the rest of the class. Soon, what we would do is we would do auto restart so that, you know, Nodemon would be watching our files. Whenever we change something, it would automatically restart the server for us.
Okay.
Excuse
Can we
me,
look at your
may I
code?
know?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I know in what kind of circumstance we need to use the curly braces to include all the data in the send method?
Okay, let me make sure I understand your question. Is your question in what kind of cases do we need to use this here?
Use the curly braces. I thought that in the previous sentence, when we send just one text, like a response with the resources, we didn't use the curly braces. We just used the single quotation to include the text inside. But
Right.
when we trying to send the users this array to the client, we need to include it with the curly braces in the brackets. So
Right.
what's the difference for that?
Okay. So your backend API is usually versatile enough to send any kind of response. All right. Now, when I say any, I would define what I mean by that. But what I'm trying to say here is that your backend API is not just bound to JSON data. All right. If you want, you can send a string text format data, right? If you want, you can send HTML files if you want, right? You can send JSON, you can send XML, right? You can send different types of data from your backend APIs, right? So that's the reason, you know, when you do res.send, right? when you do this and you simply do this, you're basically sending the data in text format. All right. And when you are putting these curly braces, you are sending JSON. Right. So that's what the difference is. You can send this data and you can also send this. The difference is in both the cases, you are sending different kind of data. And most of the front-end application deal with JSON data format, right, which is line number 11. So although line number 12 would perfectly work fine, you can do that. This is not how backends usually communicate. This is something that, you know, I as a teacher would do to maybe show you a simple example, right? Or this is something maybe, you know, an online tutorial would do to give you a simple example, right? But if we talk about real life servers, they usually deal in JSON data format. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I see. Thank you. And can we have several statement here? I tried. It seems just to receive only once. For
Right.
example, if I trying to send the array as well as another statement send the text, so it only displayed the first one.
Right. So, okay, the question is that if I have two response.send like I have right now on line number 11 and 12, right? And if I restart my server, right, just to make sure my changes are updated, I go back here, I refresh, I still see only users, right? I'm not able to see this response here. So your API can send response only once. All right. So what happens is your HTTP request comes here, right? It goes through this, it runs the code, and then it reads response.send this. And once it does that, it actually sends the data over the network. And the entire call has already run. So after this line does not even run. So technically speaking, if you have 2 times response.send, right, this response.send is actually going to send the response to the server already. And if you see here, we already have an error, right? It says cannot set headers after they are sent to the client. All right. So they understand that we have already sent our response to the client, and running this line is pretty useless at this point, right? So ideally, you should have only one response.send.
See, thank you. And what if we would like to send the XML? Do we need to these curly braces as well, or do we need to another sign to include the XML format?
Right, let me check. You can definitely send XML, but I would have to check if the send method actually is able to send those to you. Send a response. Right, these are some examples, new buffer, and then we have JSON. In the third example, we have HTML, and in the last example, we have a string, right? Yeah, I think you would be able to just use this send method to send an XML if you want. It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, thank you, very clear. Thank you.
No problem. I think they also have response.json to be precise. Yeah. Yeah, this should work exactly the same. I'm going to restart, refresh here. Yeah. So if if you're only going to be dealing with JSON, you can also use response.json. This works specifically for JSONs. All right, I'm going to give you guys 10-15 minutes here. And if you're going faster, I'm going to give you a problem to do right now, right? So we have users, and Let's do something interesting. What should we create? What kind of application should we create? Any suggestions, guys? What kind of application would you like to see? And then we can stick to that for the sake of our examples.
What option do we have?
I don't know. I think I always end up writing superheroes when it comes to users. I don't know. Should we create a superhero application? I mean, we can create, I don't know, something similar to e-commerce website. I don't know.
Yeah,
what did you guys?
That's much better. E-commerce,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So let's create orders in that case. All right. So we have users. Let's create another route. All right, everyone. Create a route to return all the orders. Right. So I'm looking for a get request, but not for users, for orders, where I should be able to see all the orders in the system. So far, we do not have any database connection, but that's something we would do soon. So yeah, so far you can just have data like this. Someone asked me, do you know you will be our teacher for mobile? I mean, for the next course? Nope, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't teach mobile courses anymore. So no, I don't think I would be teaching you mobile development. You're asking because you hate me, or you're asking because you would want me to?
So I'm getting
Oh,
an error when I do the npm start.
okay.
I must
Well,
have
what
some
error are
typo
you getting?
somewhere. Failed. It doesn't say. Oh my God.
It doesn't say anything? That would be
No, it
weird.
does. It says error,
Okay.
but I'm trying to pinpoint the exact error where it is. So
Why don't you just copy paste in everyone, and whoever is done with it maybe could also help us to fix this issue.
burger. Okay. Oh, must have. Okay, I think I have a typo.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't. Clear. npm start.
I am recording, right? Yeah. Okay, I am.
So this is what I'm getting. I don't know.
Okay. npm start debugger attached. Oh, it says port 3000 is already in use.
Oh.
Right. If you see debugger attached, and then it says port 3000 is already in use. So you want to make sure you do not have a server running in some other terminal, you know. So you want to go check in terminals. If you have server running on 3000, you want to close it, right? Yeah.
How do I do that again? Because I have closed all my browsers.
Not browsers, but terminals, because that's where we run the servers, right? So you want to check all your terminals, you know, like go to each terminal. All right, I don't have a server running here. Go to next one. No server running here. I can shut this one. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, how do you shut it down?
So if you find a server running,
yeah,
you can simply do a Control-C.
Okay.
And it's going to shut down the server. Now that's the right way of doing it. If you are, you know, if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, I just want to make it work, you can simply change the port number, right? You can go to www here, and you can change the port number from 3000 to, let's say, 4000.
Okay.
But again, that would be like a quick fix. That would be like a patch.
No, I don't see anything now.
All right, we won't be doing anything new. All right. So if you are done with create a route to return all the orders in a GET request, do give me a yes in participants. All right. So you need to create, to give you guys an idea, you need to create a new routing file. All right. You need to create a new router the way we have users router right here. You would have to create a new one for orders. All right. And then you would have to connect that orders router in your app.js like here, like user router has been connected here, right? And don't forget to import it. Don't forget to bring that file in app.js before you are able to use those routers. Gonna open this up. I have pushed the code to GitHub. Okay, I also pushed node modules. New file dot get ignore. I want to ignore everything. All right, we have 2 people who are done. Nice.
Sorry, what was the question? That we're done or not?
So you need to create, I have sent the question actually in chat. Let me repost it again. I think it scrolled up a little bit. So you need to create a new router, right? To return all the orders, all right, using a GET request. So there should be, you know how we have users router here? You need to have an orders router, which should return orders of users. You could send order ID, product, price of the product, and so on, right? Similar to users.
Okay.
And if you are someone who's even done with this, these are examples, FAQs. Okay, if you are someone who is done with even the orders route, I would suggest you start reading things in the guide, right? The more documentation you read, you know, the more you're going to understand how Express works, right? And we are sticking to the official documentation. It might seem a little difficult or esoteric to understand things in the beginning, but trust me, in the long run, there's nothing better than the official guide, right? So again, if you are someone who is, who's done with all of this, who is even done with orders route, we are not going to be doing anything new today, right? I suggest you to start reading more about routing and all of that stuff in the guide.
Okay, so we don't have to send you anything. We can go and read
Yes,
the documentation. Okay, thank you.
yes, that's right.
Akash, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can I share my screen?
Yes, sir. Oh, someone sent me a few questions. Someone said, sorry, what do you mean by orders? I just mean orders on e-commerce, right? It could be, you know, every order could have a name, it could have a price, right? It could be any kind of product. It could be Reebok shoes, you know, price $50. Yeah, that's it. That kind of properties. Someone said, hello, Akash, what I should submit, the whole folder or just the order.js? You do not have to submit anything to me. You can send it to me here in direct message, only the routing file. And it's more important that you are able to see it working on your system as of now, right? If you face any problem, you can always ask me, you know, whatever problem you're facing. Next question is, Akash, how to have access to class recordings? So, okay, there are 3 things, all right? You know what, let me actually put it in Microsoft Teams just to make sure everyone has access to it. All the code that I write on everyday basis, I push it right after the class, you know, even sometimes during the class on the GitHub link that I provided in Microsoft Teams. That's how you get all the code that I write on everyday basis, right? Second thing is class recordings, right? I'm going to reply here in the same thing. You can find all the class recordings in Microsoft Teams, right? If you go to files, right? You're gonna see a folder, class content, I guess, right? Class content, and in there you are gonna have files named as day1.mp4 and so on, right? Guys, one disclaimer, Zoom takes a lot of time to transcode the files into MP4, right? Yesterday, it took 3 or 4 hours to reach 57 or 58%, and then it just froze and I had to restart again. So you would have to be really patient with, you know, the download of the file. It's very possible that sometimes the files would be available at like 7, 8, or 9 p.m. Now, that being said, please do not hesitate to, ping me on Microsoft Teams or so, where you can say, hey, is the file available? Because I could also forget, right? Because it takes 1 to 3 hours to transpile, and I'm obviously not sitting in front of my computer for that period of the time, right? So first of all, I would really appreciate if you guys could be patient with those recordings. Second thing, at the same time, totally feel free to ping me and ask me if the file has been uploaded or not, right? So class recording. The third thing is class notes. This is basically all the writings that I do in the class on my whiteboard. All of that should also be available in Microsoft Teams. If you go to Microsoft Teams, you need to go to class notebook. Class notebook. Let me quickly check. And then in content library, right? And that is synced online in real time, right? So if I write something here, it should be available to you within a few minutes.
Sorry, we don't see your screen. We see download visual code.
Oh yeah, I wasn't actually referring to anything, but I can actually show it to you. Right, just give me a second. All right, so I have typed in all of that. This is where you have GitHub link, right? This is where you have link for JavaScript courses. And this is where I've mentioned about class recordings. You can go to files, right? And inside files, you're gonna have this class materials, right? And inside class materials, you're going to see day 1, day 2, and so on. Right? That's where you're going to file recordings. Post. Okay, it's not class content, it's class material. So let me correct that. Edit. Materials. Right? Second thing is class notes. You would be able to access all the notes that I write on my whiteboard if you go to class notebook. And inside class notebook, you are going to see something as content library. Come on, that's too slow. All right, if you go here on the side in these notebooks, you're going to see content library, right? And inside content library, you're going to see everything that I write. If it opens up today. Right, so all the, I mean, it's these are not notes as such. It's all the scribbling that I do. So day 1, day 2, everything, all of those notes are gonna be here in real time. All right. All right, any question or any doubt regarding where to get what? Alrighty. I do have a few more questions. I remember someone wanted to share screen to get something fixed. Just give me a few more minutes. I'm gonna answer these questions and I'm gonna be right back. Someone sent users array. Hi, what's the difference user comma or not with name in JSON like this? Okay, so someone asked, what is the difference if I have quotation around here, right, in the key, or if I don't, right? So the thing is, in JSON, in pure JSON, you are ideally supposed to have quotations around both key and value, all right? But at the same time, all the platforms would do that for you. So you don't necessarily have to do any of that. And here we are creating JavaScript object anyway. So a quick answer to your question is it doesn't really make a difference here. And if we talk about convention, the convention usually is not to use quotations around the key. All right, okay, the person said they have already fixed the problems. That's good. All righty. Okay, any other questions, guys? Any doubt?
Sorry, would you please
Okay, there's a lot of echo.
my code? Yeah, sorry about
Do you want me to have a look at your code? Is that what you said?
Yes, please.
Sure, you can share your screen. I can stop sharing. I'm gonna actually stop recording too.